These days, it seems like pretty much everyone is struggling to cope with the stress of all the challenges this coronavirus pandemic has created. The things we've suddenly lost or the difficult changes we've had to try to adjust to can seem endless. You can never really avoid stress when you're living a meaningful life, but the times we're in right now have created all kinds of new and powerful stressors. In this short video, we're going to try to give you some helpful tips for staying on top of the challenges that we're all facing these days. Tip number 1, don't overdose on the news. Part of the challenge these days is feeling a real loss of control. So many things have changed so fast, and we don't know exactly what's coming next or when. In these chaotic times, a common mistake is thinking that the more we know, the better we'll feel. But the reality is that staying tuned into coronavirus news 24/7 can actually ramp up our anxiety. This can be especially true with cable news stations. It's helpful to get solid information on what's happening, but letting yourself be bombarded with every supposed breaking news story can keep you agitated and only thinking about everything that's going wrong. The key thing is to find good, reliable sources of information that you can check in on periodically. Keeping up with what's happening is good, but setting some limits for yourself can be really helpful. For example, looking at news once in the morning and maybe once again later in the day should be enough to keep you informed without unnecessarily adding too much extra stress and anxiety to your day. Or try limiting yourself to a certain amount of news time every day, like 20 or 30 minutes. Think about focusing your news time on sources like PBS and National Public Radio that don't have a financial incentive to keep your attention locked in around the clock. Try to remember the importance of focusing on the things that you have some control over, which mostly are about what you can be doing to take care of yourself and the people you're connected to. Too much obsessing over news can end up getting in the way of paying attention to what really matters. Tip number 2, fear, anxiety, sadness, frustration. What we're feeling right now is all natural, and it's natural to be upset. With all the stress and pressure we're under right now, you're probably experiencing all kinds of different powerful emotions. It's important to understand that it's natural and makes sense to have strong reactions to what's happening in our lives and society right now. Keep in mind that there aren't any wrong feelings. If you're having a lot of intense emotions, you're not alone. The coronavirus epidemic is disrupting and changing almost every part of our lives, and most people are in the same boat as you, trying to cope with a lot of different reactions, often all at the same time. Something that can be really helpful is to simply pay attention to what you're feeling and how you're reacting, simply acknowledging what's going on for you. We know that trying to avoid experiencing difficult or unpleasant feelings can backfire and make them even more intense. It's better to let yourself feel them, but then also look for simple ways to help yourself stay calm and feel okay. What works is different for everyone. The key is to actively search for effective ways to help yourself cope with all the stress and emotions that you're going through right now. Tip number 3, take it easy on yourself. A common reaction in all this is for people to feel like maybe they're just not coping as well as they should be. But this is a situation unlike anything that's happened in our lifetimes. If you're struggling with feeling anxious or afraid or even incompetent, give yourself a break. We all need to have some compassion for ourselves right now, to give ourselves a break. Being hard on yourself and judging your reactions and how you're coping is only going to pile extra stress onto an already difficult situation. Resilience is about coping with challenges in ways that help you stay strong and bounce back. You're doing the best you can, so don't forget to give yourself some credit and go easy on yourself. One thing that might help is try taking a step back from your situation for a moment. If you find yourself struggling, ask yourself what advice you'd give a friend if they were in your shoes. We're often better at giving advice to others than to ourselves. We can tap into that. Or take the big picture. Think about how you'll look back on what you're going through in a year or two when the crisis that we're in right now has passed. Eventually, we'll be telling stories about these times to each other and to future generations. And those stories will be about how we coped and the things we did that helped everyone get through this. You're doing a lot to take care of yourself and others right now, and for all of us, doing our best is what counts. So while you're working to support and help others, don't forget to give yourself a pat on the back for everything you're coping with right now.